Hello and welcome to another RLM stream. Today we are here with a bit of Assetto Corsa competition. Again, today we will be at Spa-de-Francorchamps for round 2 of the Friday Championship. Looking a bit drizzly today, so this should be interesting. You've got me, myself, Jake, and we've also got Fabian alongside me today. Hello Fabian, how are you?
Hi Jack, I'm fine.
Good to hear. Yeah, looking forward to this one?
Yeah, definitely, because Wednesday was already a great race. Very clean also.
Yeah,
And the conditions look very promising.
promising for an interesting race, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we definitely saw the drivers. It was a real challenge for them on Wednesday, but it definitely brought out some great racing, and hopefully we should see a lot of the same today.
Yeah, and Wednesday also brought some new challenges to us because it was just quite a bit more difficult, to say the least, because the vision is very restricted there, with all the rain drops on your windshield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I see a lot of the guys were practicing, and I hadn't noticed the rain at first, so I'm not sure whether the guys were expecting to see those sort of conditions. So it may have taken some by surprise. Some may have prepared for it, and definitely we saw and heard from the drivers afterwards that some of them were and weren't expecting it. Some had gone with wet setups. Some had gone with dry setups with wets on, hoping that it would dry out, and it worked out for some of the drivers, and some it worked out initially, but then as it did turn dry during the race, they were really struggling towards the end. So strategy is key today, for sure.
Yeah, and it's always everything about compromise. If you just focus on the first half of the race with, let's say there's rain in the first half of the race, and you just focus your whole setup on that, you may be good in that half, but then you will be struggling in the second half, and vice versa. So it's really about compromise and being good in both parts of the race.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw Albert and James try to make the best of their wet setups initially, and they bolted from the race start. And they got themselves a good start, but like you say, the boys with the dry setups definitely brought that right back in towards the end of the race. And in the end, those were the ones that were on top that had the dry setups. Really, the time difference they had over the guys with the wet setups was quite different towards the end. So, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen today. It may stay wet throughout the race. So, you have to take that gamble with a setup. Maybe it's better to err on the safe side because you don't know what's going to happen, and just being consistent and staying on the track, I think, is going to be key, because we saw pretty much every one of the top drivers on Wednesday make a mistake somewhere and lose a chunk of time. So even if you're not necessarily the fastest one out there today, but you are the most consistent, you could see yourself with definitely a podium or a win, even if you're not necessarily the fastest in qualifying.
Yeah, and that is really ACC in a nutshell, because consistency is really key in this game, and staying out of trouble, just putting in some nice smooth lap times is everything in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just got these times up here that some of these guys are doing with Jean Frest up at the top of the minute with 2:19.7, but these are definitely dry times, and as you can see, the rain's coming down quite hard now, so we won't see these sort of times improve. I mean, I think qualifying, they were sort of mid, what's they, 25s? No, high 25s, I think, was the fastest time we saw on Wednesday. So 25.5, 25.6, something like that. So it's a good 6 seconds off a dry time. So these ones up here we won't be seeing these in qualifying, but still some great times, breaking the 20s here with a couple of drivers.
Yeah, especially if you consider that it's most likely achieved with the green track.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's impressive, being that we're not in optimum conditions. Again, I myself.
the cars go. The track just changes a bit, so it gets better over time. It's rain, so the rain might have the effect of washing down this whole rub that's got put down from the drivers and wash it away from the ideal line. So maybe we will have a green.
Yeah, sure. All that rubber they've already put down, they're going to have to start over. Like we saw on Wednesday, the times tumbled as the session went on. It started off with like 28s, and then we were down to 25s by the end of qualifying. So, yeah, hopefully the track will improve for them a little bit.
How the conditions will change for qualifying, or if they stay the same in some light to medium, where you definitely had to use your rain tires. Maybe we will have that as well today too.
Yeah, it's a few different approaches for these guys to go for, depending whether you can actually get the temperature in the dries.
Green light, go, go,
go. Oh, so we've got a really interesting situation right now. Oh no, okay. The game just updated right now. So we got a dry qualifying, at least for now.
Ah.
With an already fast track.
So this is what the guys were hoping for, really. A dry track for qualifying, enabling them to really, really push into qualifying. And that's what you want to do with a low fuel load. You really want to feel the car underneath you moving around. Oh, so this should be interesting for the guys. This will be what they wanted. So, without further ado, we'll jump on board with some of these guys that are now jumping out of the pits. I myself will be looking after you two if you guys have any questions. And Fabian will be keeping an eye over Twitch, so don't hesitate to get your questions in.
So what the drivers want to do now, they want to get to know the track now. Which condition is the track in? They want to feel the track. Want to get a feel of it. So they are quite conservative in the first 10-15 minutes maybe, and then they will hammer down the best lap times. We will have a bit more conservative approach in these first few minutes, because we just got the rain in the last few minutes of free practice, so they have to adapt to a little bit new situation.
Yeah, for sure. They'll want to be getting banker laps in at first, won't they? You don't want to be stacking it straight off the bat.
And you also have to get used to the night driving. Your tires might get a little bit colder. Some cars might prefer that, because as I know myself as a Lexus driver, the Lexus is quite hard on its tires, and you only get perfect temperatures once you're driving in the night. But when you're driving in the daytime, you just pray. But you won't have any good tire temperatures.
Oh, that's interesting to know that. You definitely find the heat, then the Lexus doesn't like the heat too much, prefers the cooler temperatures.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's the key thing here with them starting off in the night, and they're going to be running through the dark into the morning, is finding themselves a balance with the sort of tyre pressures, because like I say, the temperature is going to fluctuate quite a bit along this hour and a half race we're going to have today. So finding a nice compromise with tyre temperature and brake temperature will be key with such a long race.
So if you might want to switch to Batman so that I can have my lap guide this time. Just takes a little moment because he's on his out lap, I guess, but it will only take a while until he's at his real lap time.
Yep, we're now on board with Bad Moon as he heads up to Blanchimont.
Yeah, this corner is usually flat out. Depends on your on the conditions of the track and if it's raining. if it's raining, you don't really want to go full flat out there. Then you've got this this last corner. This is really hard to get right because you will lose traction on the exit. So, alright, we are now starting the lap with Quiet Moon in his Lexus, and you wanna brake at the 100 brake marker, go all the way to the left, to the right, and wanna pass the wall quite nicely. And now we move on to one of the most famous corners in the world, Eau Rouge and Radion. Usually it's flat out in these cars in good conditions, but Bad Moon decided to not take this risk, at least for now. Now we are on Camel Straight heading to Lacan, and you want to brake right before the curb on the left starts. You want to go on the right curb and on the left curb. You want to really take these curbs. Now you want to take this curb as well, just like Bad Moon did. And now there's another tricky section in Spa, it's Bruxelles, and you want to stay on the inside for the entire corner and then accelerate out of it. You want to get on the left curb there and take this curb as well. So another really tricky corner there. I think the name, it actually has no name, and you really have to get it right to get a good lap time. It's one of the crucial points in Spa, next to Eau Rouge. And this is another tricky section, like every section in Spa basically, because you always struggle for grip. You're on the edge of the grip all the time, and you want to get over to the right side of this curb and take this curb as well. And this corner is tricky as well, because with the right setup you can take this flat out. Orpheus didn't do it this time. Now we head over to Blanchimont again. Like I already said, it's usually flat out, like Batman just showed us. And for this corner you just want to brake on the 100 meters board and take all the curves you can get, but not this much, because you might have lost a second or maybe a bit more with this corner. And that was a lap around Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, thank you very much then. That was a great explanation of how to get a fast lap around the Spa circuit. Bad Moon, that time round was 2:22.0, which puts him in 7th for now. Like I say, it's probably just get himself an early banker lap in, get himself a feel for conditions and where the grip is, how the curbs are at the minute. Because we expect to see those his time tumble, as indeed Jean Frest has, with a 2 minutes 19 dead. So that's already 8/10 faster than the fastest lap we saw in practice. So that's it's a great banker lap for Alberto. For Alberto, I'm going to jump on with him. He's in the Bentley today.
Yeah, it's great when you can get a nice lap in the first 10-15 minutes, because then you can relax a little bit more and take more risks into the last laps, because you already got a solid lap time. That's always a really good that's always really good to have. But now he's got a little bit of traffic, but that shouldn't have cost too much, because he made good space there.
Yeah, you're right. So the banker lap is crucial. I mean, it allows you to really relax and push, let the restraints off a little bit, take that little bit more risk to find that extra little bit of lap time, which he's definitely been able to do. He's set a marker for these guys. It's currently Benzel in P2 at the minute. He's only 0.7 off the pace with his first lap, so hope to see these guys improve as qualifying goes on. We've still got 20 minutes left yet, so plenty of time for these guys to get the feel of the track and improve their lap times.
Yeah, and you already can put your opponents under pressure if one of your first laps is a solid lap, because then they see that, and Jean Frest actually just beat his lap time, and it puts your opponent really under pressure, because they see that time and they see that you are 10 tenths faster than you, they have to take the risks now. They have to really nail these laps now. It's up to them.
Yeah, it takes them out of their comfort zone, knowing that they really do have to push, especially if they see something that's right on the edge of what they believe might be possible. It can really throw you off mentally, seeing someone putting a lap that fast so early on in the session.
And as we talk about John Frest, Steve Strelo actually managed to improve his lap time and is on second place now. He's the current leader of ACC Friday's championship because he won the Misano race.
We'll jump on board with Steve now.
So he's in the Lexus, so he might struggle for a bit of understeer. That's actually what I figured out with this car, especially if you use the default setup. But this lap looks really clean at the moment. Yeah, no understeering visible right there. Yeah, really taking a really nice line through this section. Now braking at the line on the ground. You can see a white line on the ground. That's usually my braking point. Or you can also take the sign over your head as a braking point. But I usually like to use markers on the asphalt because you already look all the time on the street, so that's not so you're not that distracted by using other brake markers.
Yeah, as we see him abandon this lap now, he's obviously felt that he wasn't going to make an improvement that time round, and he's slowed up for another attempt. So we're going to jump on board with Tommy this time around. Actually, no, he's just come in, so we'll jump over to Takamaki. He's currently on a quick lap at the minute, and he's one of our Porsche drivers today. Currently time of 2 minutes 19.5, so it's not too far off these guys at the top, and hopefully he'll be looking to make some improvements on this next lap. Definitely see a lot of these drivers using every piece of track to their advantage here and really using all the curbs at the minute. They'll be quite happy with the changing weather conditions because you will not be staying clear of these curbs during the wet conditions. As we saw a few drivers on Wednesday really paying for the heavy curb use in the wet.
Yeah, you really have to adapt to your situation. You can't just drive in the wet like you did in the dry.
No, that's it. You have to pay the curbs, the white lines even, just that bit of respect. You're going to wind the throttle on a lot more careful when you're at the wet conditions. And these guys will be hoping that it stays dry for the race, because it will be definitely a little bit easier. Won't have quite so much to think about. The guys on Wednesday had a lot to deal with the wet conditions. Like I say, we've already got most of the race being in the night here, so that alone is a challenge in itself.
Yeah, definitely. And driving in the rain, it's not always a challenge because it's harder to drive there, but you have like the traction control settings or your ABS. You have to figure out what's the right setting there. Usually in the dry it's a lot easier because you already practiced in the dry with your settings. But when you don't practice in the wet, you have to find the sweet spot. You don't want to lose too much time with the traction control settings, but you also don't want to spin because you just was a bit too brave. So that's really hard to get right. Especially in the first few laps where everyone just wants to concentrate on not making any mistakes or getting damage. That's really crucial in ACC.
Yeah, definitely. Which we saw Takamaki actually improve his last lap. Took another half a second off. He's put him up to P3 for now with 219.5. As we're going to jump over to Benonate in a minute. He's in P6. He's one of our Ferrari drivers.
And he's the current leader of the AM Championship.
Yeah, you're doing a great job then up in P6 currently. The 220.0 at the minute. Again, you see him with full use of curbs coming through Pouon there. So hard on the brake through these set of S's. Quite important to carry your speed through these. You don't want to be on and off the throttle too much. Again, you see him there choosing not to use all the curb on entry there. You see some of the guys are actually using that to help them turn themselves in. Some drivers find that unsettles the car, and myself, I'm one that don't like to use that, but we do see quite a few drivers actually getting up on the curbs. They find that really turns them in better, but again it's whether you feel more comfortable as that, as he now comes barreling through Bonchemont. Great to see him keep within inside the track limits there, as he come hard on the brakes down at the last chicane. Looks to go a bit deep there, so that's definitely going to impact his lap, as we actually see him driving into the pit. So yeah, that definitely affected his lap there. It's a shame, as we'll keep an eye and see how he improves as the race goes on. Currently we're still Jean Frest out front, but he has, I believe, improved his time now. It's down to a 218.1, and it puts him 0.8 ahead of P2, which is Strello in the Lexus. So he's holding quite a nice advantage at the minute. That's quite a nice window for him to have, seeing that the guys aren't being able to get too close to his time at the minute. But still got 15 minutes left to qualifying, so there's plenty of time for these guys to make some final changes to their setups and see if they can get a little bit closer to our pole sitter at the minute. So we're going to jump on board with Silva here, another one of our Ferrari drivers. His current best time, again another one with a 2 minutes 20, 0.9. He's currently in P9 at the minute, so we're going to jump on board for the rest of his lap and see how he's getting on. So we're following on board here down to Pouon. There's a nice bit of speed there through Pouon, nice and controlled, nice and smooth. Not too much sign of understeer there. Definitely a little bit tight on turn in there, and he had to slightly adjust his line. He's coming a bit close to the apex curve there.
Yeah, and there he could use the right curve a little bit more to gain a few more tenths.
Yeah, right. It's crucial, isn't it, knowing which curbs to take advantage of and which ones to stay clear of. Because some will really upset the balance of the car, which is not what you want with these cars being quite aero dependent. But again, some of them will really cut the radius of the corner, allowing you to definitely gain a bit of lap time.
Yeah, that also definitely depends on what car you're driving. So some cars are taking curbs like it's breakfast, and some cars don't really want to mess with curbs because that would unsettle them too much. But this has gotten really much better with the new tire model of ACC lately. So the curbs haven't been that much of a problem in the last few races, and that's really great.
Let me jump on board with Callio here. He's one of our only Aston drivers, I do believe. We haven't seen one in the Wednesday Championship. It's good to see someone out there in the Aston. Underrated, if you ask me. I quite enjoy driving this car, and you're not going to get bored of that sound. As he's now going to go on to another fast lap, which we'll jump on board with Tommy and see how he's finding these track conditions at the minute. So we head on down to Eau Rouge here. Nice cut through Eau Rouge. Turned in hard for Radion. Nice use of the curbs there, but not excessive use. It's not. You're powering on down the Kemmel Straight. That's where we'll see this Aston come into his own. Very good in a straight line. Hard on the brakes here as we come into the right, left, right S's here.
That's a great line. Really taking advantage of the curbs, but not going too much over it.
Yeah, it's very, very neat there. Very smooth. Hard on the brakes, really trying to carry as much speed in there, but without seeming they had too much understeer there.
It's still nice control of the car.
Yeah, really running it right out to the edge there. Really, really curb to curb there. It's lovely lines from Tommy. Carrying great speed through the for the S's here, not being too greedy. Little squirt of oversteer on the way out there. Keeps a nice hug to the apex on the right hand side. Then it drifts out to the left there. Power on hard, little lift there on the back straight. That will compromise him a little bit on the run up to Blanchimont. Really want to be getting that flat if possible.
Yeah, but he had to lift because there was a bit of understeer, and otherwise he would have gotten track limits.
Yeah, for sure. I think he definitely had to. It wasn't ideal, but it keeps his lap alive. So he brakes hard up to the chicane here. So keep it fairly tight on the entry there. A little bit tighter on that one. Good exit, not too much wheel spinning in here. The traction control cutting in there. That's a 2:18.9. That's a great lap there by Tommy. Puts him up into P4. Great to see that.
Very smooth lines by him.
Jump on board with our leader here for a bit. Still hasn't been able to best his own time for 2:18.1. But we have Benzel has got very close with the 2:18.2. We didn't see him do that lap. I'm ashamed. Ashamed we didn't get to catch it, but it's good to see that some of these drivers are finally getting close to Jean Fres's time with 2:18.1. With just under 10 minutes left now, hopefully we've got enough time to see some of these other drivers that can really start to push these boys up the top. I mean, currently seeing the whole field covered by just under sort of 5 seconds, which is it's great to see all these drivers so close together. Hopefully we shall see this similar sort of pace throughout the race as well, as we always find that we have great little packs of drivers racing throughout the grid. It's not just the top boys fighting out for the top positions. We have great races across the whole field, top to bottom.
Bloodwolf actually asked if he really spots someone in a Jaguar, and yeah, that's right. We got Thiago Gouveia, who is in the Jaguar today. And
that's right, we do. Show you a little glimpse of him there. Unfortunately, he is in the pits at the minute, and hopefully we can catch some on-board action of the Jag a little bit later once he's on track.
Yeah, and we actually have to apologize for the AM and badges because they're not working at the moment. So you have to trust your lovely commentators for their knowledge.
Yes, Fabian is the man with the knowledge today. But really, all of these drivers are good drivers, really. They're all pro drivers in my eyes. It just helps to split the classes up, so it does allow the ones that aren't quite as quick as some of the aliens we have about to have their own little championship to fight for. It really gives them, keeps them fighting and gives them something to really go for in these races.
Yeah, because motivation is always a really big point of sim racing, and if you're not motivated enough to race, it's really hard.
And that's it. We got some real aliens in the RLM group. Quite a few of the drivers, also esports drivers as well. I'm just on board with Well Beloved in a minute, another one of the Bentley drivers out there. He's on a 2:20.8 currently. Just see if he's able to improve on that this time around as he exits the last chicane. Yeah, and he managed to take another half second off his lap. That's the last 2 laps have been his fastest 2 laps so far, so he's definitely finding the groove at the minute. So he's currently in P8, so we'll keep an eye on him and see if he's able to improve any further with the last 5 minutes. As we see that Jean Frest has improved his time again by another couple of tenths. He's just broke the 2:17 mark with a 2:17.9 as Steve Strello has managed to jump up into P2 with 2:18.0. So great times by them, and we still got Benzel in P3 with a 2:18.2. So the top 3 drivers only really covered by 3.5 tenths at the minute. So we could see any one of those 3 take the top spot in the closing 5 minutes.
It would be actually really interesting if one of these drivers in the top 3 were aiming for a good qualifying setup, so that they now have really good times, but maybe they compromised it for a worse race setup. So maybe that's a point we have to look out in the race. If some of the top 3 drivers or top 5 even will struggle in the race.
That's it. I mean, the strategy and the setup that they go for will, as we started just catching Yusufa coming off there. So we do have, I believe, a couple of Aston Martins in this race today. I just needed to correct myself. Going to jump on with Picassi now in another Lexus driver. I'm going to jump on board and see how he's getting on at the minute. Currently in 6th position with 2:19.7. Oh, it's quite a big lift as he's coming up on the back stretch now.
Oh, and Master Richter just improved his time and is now 6th. So we just got 6 manufacturers in the top 6 positions.
That's brilliant to see. That is that not one car is shown to be any better than the others. It's really just down to personal preference and feel that you get from the car. What car gives you the best confidence?
Yeah, totally. Confidence is everything in this game. So yeah, maybe you are a bit faster with another car, but it's important to be fast in the race and not so in the qualifying, because you won't get any points in the qualifying session.
Now that's very right. I mean, I think we do sometimes see that certain cars may favour certain tracks a bit more, but that is just the nature of how the different cars are designed. Some with more or less aero, some will, you know, hug the track a bit better, where some will take the curb slightly better. So, you know, I think different cars and different tracks will suit each other, and that all seems to even itself out quite nicely across the season.
Yeah, and we also got the balance of performance, so SRO are trying the best to make cars more equal. But it's really hard, and some cars like the BMW struggled a bit in the last races, at least in our league. And the McLaren is another car that struggles a bit for pace, but most of the other cars are really competitive.
Yeah, we don't see many McLarens out there. We did have one on Wednesday. It was Mark Brown, if I do remember correctly. And I do believe we have got a McLaren in here with us today.
Yeah, we got Marcel Richter and Nick Dealey, who is our chief steward.
He is currently in the pits at the minute. Obviously feels that he can't go any faster. We still got our top two on track at the minute. Still trying to get that last effort in to see if they can improve their lap times. But just on board with Picasso here as he's coming to finish his lap off. We'll see if he's managed to make an improvement this time around.
I think he went a bit wide, so
his
lap won't count.
He managed to match his time, so it wouldn't have seen an improvement this time around. We're going to jump up with your pole sitter at the minute. This will definitely be his last attempt. As you see, he manages to get that absolutely flat out, that excellent at the back stretch here. It really is crucial for this long run up through Blanchimont. So I expect to see him take this flat as well.
And now we've got optimum track conditions, so still should be a little bit of time.
It's crucial to be out there when the track does change to optimal.
Exactly.
You definitely see yourself a good half a second or more delta gains.
Bloodwolf's asking if there are any AMGs. Yes.
And yes.
Benzel is driving with one. He's in 3rd position currently, and there's also Eric Engman, who's in 11th position.
Sorry to just jump across you there, as Jean Frest did manage to improve his lap time again with a 17.7, so that's given him a 3/10 window over Steve, who I believe did just manage to cross the line in time to get himself on another lap here. So I think he's one of the last guys on track here. So we'll stay on board with this lap and see how he does. You tell he's really attacking now at this point. He's given it everything he's got. He's curb to curb here, using every piece of track available to him. Like, really gets the car over that inside curb there through the corner that has no name as we go down to Pouon here.
Yeah, you can really see how much he pushes because he's understeers a little bit.
Yeah, but he managed to carry good speed. He was really early on throttle coming out of Pouon there. Really trying everything to get on the throttle as early as he can, but the rear end really compliant. Almost out to the gravel there. It was a very small lift there. I don't think that will affect him too much on the run up to Blanchimont.
And Matteo Percassi just improved his lap time and he's now 7th.
Great job by him as well. Steve using all the track there to go through Blanchimont. Last little run now up to the last chicane. Hard on the brakes.
All
nice
eyes on
turn
him,
in.
he's the last car on track at the moment.
Nice clean exit from the chicane with the run just to the line. Is he able to improve his lap time? As he does, as he takes P1 pole position on his very last lap. Great job there by Steve with a 2:17.4.
What a banger!
Yeah, João Frest was probably not expecting that one, and neither were we, but we were on board and you got to see that, guys. That was such a great lap there by Steve. He'll be very happy with himself. And there you have it, guys and girls. Here's the timetable.
Look at the weather radar. We'll have rain again.
We have rain, and I'm quite enjoying these weather conditions because it's, changing conditions. It's not just about being the fastest driver, it's about being able to adapt to the conditions as well. And consistency is key. It's great you got the top spot in quali maybe, but at an hour-and-a-half race anything can happen. Consistency is important now.
Yeah, so today we got something special. We just don't race 1 hour today, but 19 minutes. 90 minutes, not 19.
Yes, that's right. We've got an hour and a half today. So we'll be starting in the dark, as you can see. We'll be going right through the night till the morning, so definitely a challenge to the start of these races for these guys. Now, I don't know if the weather's actually going to start off dry here and go to the rains. I can't see.
It's currently raining, so I can see the rain drop on Strelo's windshield. But I don't know if that's enough for rain tires. Maybe we could have a look at their tires if I get the right camera. Oh, it's a little bit hard to spot the tires right now because it's so dark. And most of the drivers will still be in their setup menu.
I do apologise for this, guys, as I forgot to do it beforehand. Let's see if I can get rid of these driver names.
So I'll have a look at the first drivers on the grid and what
There we go.
tires they currently have on. So it looks like, but it's really dark, but it looks like that Steve got some slicks there. Alberto got some rain tires. Who's that? Benzel got some rain tires too. Yeah, that's definitely rain tires. Then we got Takamaki, and looks like that he has slicks. So some of these drivers will take the gamble, will take the risk. I will actually write that down at the moment, because that might be an interesting information afterwards.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that some of these drivers are going for quite different strategies. Like I say, they're weighing up whether they're going to be able to get away with the slicks. It's just may give them a bit more pace, but it's being able to keep that temperature in the tyres that's going to be crucial. So, especially this formation lap is going to be key for the guys with the slicks to be able to keep that temperature ready for the start of the race, because it'll be so easy for them to lock up within the first lap or two. And likewise for the guys in the wets, they won't want to be overheating those tyres, though. From experience, the wet tyres can run at quite a hot range, so they would definitely be the safe option.
Yeah,
But
so the rain tires can definitely 130 degrees. That should be no problem. But when you spin with 130 degree hot tires, they will most likely explode. Like what happened to me in the last race. Straight going to a rouge and my left rear tire just exploded. And that was my race done, sadly.
oh no. Yeah, so that's something the guys will have to keep an eye on, at what point they have to change over for the tyres, because of course we will be seeing pit stops during this race, because I don't believe any of the drivers will be able to do an hour and a half on one tank. Fabian will know more, because obviously you've done this sort of race length.
You definitely have to go to the pits.
That's it. At least it gives them the opportunity to start with the safer option of the wet tyres and jump over to the dries once they feel happy that that they're able to keep the car on track with the dry tyres. So we're going to go on helicap for the formation lap. So guys will pull off now. So we jump a little bit further down, make sure everyone's got away okay. We've got 24 drivers today, so we've got quite a big grid of drivers. So it should be a great race. We've got a couple in the pits, unfortunately. We did have 26. They've not managed to get out on time, which is a shame. So we jump back up to the leaders here. So you see Steve's not quite weaving as much as the other guys, so whether he's got the wets on, he doesn't want to overheat them. Whereas some of the others, like I say, may have the dries on and they're trying to keep that temperature, which would be crucial for the race start for them.
Oh, Steve is actually on dry tires.
He's
So
on dries. Yeah, that's interesting.
he should warm these tires up.
Yeah.
Because they will have a hard time now.
You know, just
once the
have
race
confidence in his setup and what he's got underneath him.
Okay, so I've got a quick look at the top 6, and Strelo is on dry tires, John Frest is on wet tires, Benzel is on wet tires too, Takamaki is on dry tires, Kallio is on wet tires, and Richter is on dry tires. So we've got, in the top 6, we've got 3 dry tire guys and 3 wet tire guys. So that should be really interesting in the race.
Yeah, that's going to make a very interesting race. It'd be interesting to see what happens at the start. I mean, the guys at the wets, I think, are going to initially manage to get away early, as we saw with the Wednesday race. But if we see it dry out, which it very well could do, these guys with the dries are definitely going to come back at them quite quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble for the dry tire guys. We will have to look out if there are some puddles, because in ACC you've got aquaplaning, so that will be really rough for the slick tire guys, because once you hit a little bit of too much water with slick tires, you will spin out. You won't have any control on the car whatsoever.
Yeah, we saw quite a bit of that, especially during the practice and qualifying on Wednesday's race. That some of the guys were just hitting massive aquaplaning down the Kemmel Straight, especially on the little right kink. There was a puddle just on the inside there, and the guys were crossing that, and they were in a massive snake on going down the straight. So it's like you say, for the dry tire guys, it's going to be crucial for them to note where these little puddles are, maybe on this formation lap, so that they don't go anywhere near them on there when they're up to racing speed. So kind of coming up the back stretch, we won't be far away from the start of the hour-and-a-half race today. Again, we're streaming for Redline Motorsport. You can check them out on www.redlinemotorsport.co.uk, where you'll find racing across many racing games. And to be racing across pretty much every day as well, so there's plenty for all different drivers and all different sims, so check it out. Get yourself signed up and get involved in some of this great racing.
Yeah, definitely, and we've also got some guys who always help you when you got a question about a special sim, or if you want to get better at sim racing. There are a few guys who always want to help out.
Yeah, everyone in here is very helpful. And we've got some very quick, knowledgeable guys in here, but everyone is nice and clean. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but quickly before the race starts, Bloodwolf just asked if we got any favorites race win.
Well, I want to put my money on Steve here, but then that would be maybe a bit biased, because myself I like to drive the Lexus, so I feel you may be feeling the same here as me.
Well, I think that Albert John Frest will do it today, because I don't think that thick tires will be the right choice for this race.
Okay, well, here we go then. As we go on down to Eau Rouge, we're waiting for those lights to go out. Is Steve going to be able to keep position into P1 and down the Kemmel Straight with the speed of that Bentley? As here they go, they pull away into single file as we go through Eau Rouge and up past Radion. It's all clean so far, as we just jump back a little bit and make sure everyone got through there nice and clean, as they have. One going wide there, we'll catch you that one a bit later. As you go back on to Steve, he is managing to keep hold of position at the minute. He's had a good run through Eau Rouge and Radion, as we see some driver diving down there for the pass in the Porsche. You hope he manages to keep that on track, as we're going to jump on here with Takamaki. Is this where the battle seems to be going on right now?
So I've spotted no crashes whatsoever, even on the back of the grid, so that looks really clean.
Takamaki here defending hard to the Bentley, who's got the position. I correct myself, that is an Aston we have there. My position screen is all out of whack at the minute, so we're going to have to just go off the AC screen at the minute.
So the grid looks really stable at the moment, so it looks like that both tire choices have been the right choice, at least for now, because all cars seem to get well with the conditions. So we might be at the sweet spot right now. So it depends now on the weather. If the rain gets a bit more heavy, or if the rain stops, whether who will have the better tire choice. But at the moment it looks like that everyone's even.
Yeah, it's got a nice uniform start so far. I don't think we've had too many issues as we go around the first half a lap. Yeah, everyone now will be sort of hopefully trying to settle themselves down and find the current levels of grip that they've got. Because you don't want to be making a mistake early on with such a long race ahead of them. You know, it's you don't win the race in the first few laps. I mean, we're currently on board with Tommy in the Aston. He's doing well to hold on to third place at the minute. No, I'm afraid he has lost that. My screen is not showing me the right positions. So it's Tamamaki in the Porsche that's holding on to P3, and Tommy is trying to attack down the Kemmel straight in the Aston. Now he's got a great straight line speed that Aston has, and that has brought him up alongside. Now he has the inside as we come up here to the S's. It's a little bit deep on the brakes, but he makes the pass nonetheless nice and neat there by Tamamaki. Tommy is not giving up though. He's a bit of a squirm there as he come off the curbs. This is the thing with these wet curbs, you do not want to be climbing all over them, especially with a full tank of fuel.
Yeah, and Takamaki is one of the drivers who's on the dry tires, so he has to be super careful.
And that's right. As we're going to jump back to Percassi, because he seems to be he's got Rich all over the back of him at the minute. And you've got a nice train of drivers here from P10 downwards. Got about 7 drivers in this little battle for the P10 position. So I'm getting shown P6.
And we might get a 3-wide on the fourth position. So there's a really hard battle for which position is it? It seems to be 13th position. So there are.
So we'll jump up here with
7
Tommy.
Cars in the row.
Could you give me some names as well, because my
Fernando Silva is. Matteo Percassi is the leader of this group.
Yeah, we're on board with Silva now.
And he just gets overtaken by Fernando Silva. But Bad Moon can be the one who wins everything there, because he's the laughing third guy. Maybe gaining a bit of time because the drivers in front of him have made a mistake, but he just settles in behind Fernando Silva. Sorry, my timing screen there wasn't refreshing. He's behind Percassi now. It's a bit confusing right now.
Yeah, I'm also suffering from the same problems at the minute. Sorry these technical issues, guys. I believe our broadcasting tools have decided they don't want to play ball today, so we're not getting any. Positions aren't telling us who's in what position correctly. I'm going to attempt to reconnect mine as we try and plough through these technical issues at the minute. So unfortunately that hasn't worked for me. We're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, I believe. So
at the moment Steve is just running away from the field. Oh no! Oh, he just spun out. just spun out. He got a lead of 5 seconds, but now he lost first position to John Frest. And is he losing another position? Yes, he does. There goes Tommy, Kallio Kuyala, and Takamaki also slips through. So he is 4th now. So maybe it was a little bit too bold to go with the dry tires.
Yeah, that's it's quite a risk to take, especially with these damp conditions. You've got to be very, very careful. You're not going to be able to push as hard as the other drivers around you.
Oh yeah, Bloodwolf is right. Benzel spun too, so he was on 3rd position in the qualifying, but he's 18th now. He lost quite a lot of time.
So we just lost Bad Moon there, as we saw in the background, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's basically it. These are really hard conditions because no tire is really the right choice. I'm not really sure about it, but because it could be a driver mistake by Strelo, he might have taken a curb a little bit too much with these tires, and he's gaining on the cars in front now. So it's really hard to gauge if the slicks or the rain tires are better right now.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about the technical issues there, and I do apologise if we're going to have to do a bit of camera jumping around today because the tool has given up on my end. But we will manage through regardless. Yeah, like you're saying there, it's. I think the safer option definitely is the wets at the minute.
Yeah,
Like I say,
so
you've
too.
got a bit more window of margin for error, really, being able to push. If you make one little error with the drives or one little lockup, you're going to find yourself off track and definitely losing a whole heap of lap time, which is, I think, what we saw with Steve. He's definitely finding a lot of time in areas, but it's where he's going to be able to keep this sort of attack up. Like I say, the smallest little mistakes, and he's going to lose a lot of time compared to the other guys that are on the wets. Definitely going to be able to push a little bit harder than him right now.
We already got a few guys pitting at the moment. They might have to do another stop because their fuel won't be enough for the whole remaining race distance.
No, it's very early to see pit stops so far. I mean, the only way you could possibly see them doing this early is whether they're able to reduce the fuel map this early on, but that's quite an ask. I know most of the cars can do an hour long. Whether you could stretch that with another 20 minutes with fuel map, that's sort of untested waters, I guess. But maybe with these sort of conditions, running a lower fuel map may help out in some sectors.
Oblitua just wrote in the chat that your stream is low FPS at the moment.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let me just have a look and see what's going on.
It looks fine on my screen.
Yeah, we're not showing any issues my side. Is this YouTube or no? He's on Twitch, isn't he?
Yeah. It's fixed now. He wrote that.
Okay,
So,
cool.
we just missed a pass by Steve Strelo. He passed the two guys that were in front of him in the last few laps.
Yeah,
And he's now catching. Oh no, he's third at the moment. Okay, now I get it. He's third, and Takamaki got a nice little gap there.
Yeah, he's managed to do quite well in these last couple of laps, really regaining those positions he originally lost, and now he's got himself a bit of a gap to a little bit of a gap to P2 just to reel him in, and it's quite a gap up to João Frest out front. He's got himself a bit on 6 seconds at the minute, so he's going to have his work cut out, Steve, to try and regain those positions that he lost early on. So you're going to jump down a little bit further.
Oh, video is stuttering now, and I can confirm that with my stream. Yeah, your stream seems to be stuttering. But this
Any
Now
better?
it works again. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, too bad that we have
Yeah,
these technical difficulties.
yeah, real shame we've got
again.
these technical issues that I'm on at the minute with the broadcasting tool going as well.
Pineapple 33 said we don't know if it's fixed. This problem seems to be coming and going, so it might come back in a few minutes, but we hope not.
So Fabian, if you do see any really tight gaps, please shout them out for me, as I don't have any information anymore.
Alright, I will do that. So, 9th position, Fernando Silva, Nick Dealey, and Anthony Benenate are right on their tails.
So we're on board with Silver now.
So, what Nick Dealey and Anthony Benenate now have to do is to watch the driver, the guy in front of them, and look for any mistakes they do. Oh, and maybe Benenate had. Oh, this was a little bit of a lag, because it looked like that Benenate wanted to make the pass, but Nick Dealey lagged a bit there. Oh, and the stream stuttering is back again. Oh, it's fixed now. It seems to be a weird problem.
Yeah, it's a
what a
shame we're
shame.
seeing this now. We didn't have any issues on Wednesday. That went quite smoothly. So I'm just not able to connect the broadcasting tool anymore.
Maybe
you
if
see
these
these-
issues are...
Oh, we've just seen Nick go straight off. But it
Oh.
seemed to be quite a weird off at first. I did wonder whether that was lag at first, but he's now in the pits. This is such a shame to see that from Nick. Change cars. What's going on here? We're on to P2 here. Tamamaki in the Porsche. He's soon going to have Steve right on his backside here. And Steve has done really well so far just to regain the time he lost initially.
Your stream is lagging a bit right now. So maybe you want to restart the stream. Maybe that helps.
Yeah, we can try this, guys. Bear with me.
Albert just wrote me that we should read the YouTube comment, but I don't have it open. Maybe you can have a look at that. Maybe he wrote something about these technical difficulties.
No, I haven't had... Yeah, he did... I've restarted that now, guys. Hopefully that could be a little bit better for you.
So Albert is writing that low FPS probably because another pro selected ACC location. So maybe that's that.
Is that any better for you, guys? Jump on board with Tommy here in the Aston. It's in P4 at the minute with Marcel right behind him in the McLaren. Tommy doing well so far, just to hold Marcel off. Great to see McLaren so far up the order at the minute. This stream is struggling on my side as well. I can see this.
Yeah, I can't watch it.
On YouTube, it's struggling, but OBS is not showing any problems.
Yeah, sure.
1200. Yeah, trying to watch it back on YouTube, that looks unusable, unwatchable.
Yeah, and on
If we can
Twitch,
get some comments from some of you viewers, if you could tell if it's any better for you guys to watch, or is it just as bad as what we're seeing?
on Twitch, at least on my side, it isn't working. I just got a black screen with the error that the video is not there at the moment. Maybe the browser is not working. No,